everybody. This is episode 6 of Tandem Pod. I got an email from someone who had sort of an interesting story about living in an area that is definitely off the radar in the scooter community, and a story about a lot of troubles he's had when he's been filming a video part recently, and it seemed pretty compelling to me. So I decided to have him on, and that person is Xander Williams. I didn't really know anything about Xander before doing this. He was friends with Ben Bursell, who's the person who does the music for this. Ben had briefly mentioned he was filming a lot, and he was into his riding. So he sent me some videos he made, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I decided to have him on, and it was a pretty interesting conversation with someone who I was essentially talking to for the first time ever. So here he is. Just a side note, we talked about various videos and stuff, and the links to those videos are going to be in chronological order in the description of this podcast. So after or while you can do it while you're following along the podcast. You can click these links, and it'll be a good reference for what we're talking about. And hopefully you haven't seen most of the stuff, and there's something that inspires you. Let's start about talking about growing up in Utah. Were you born and raised there?
Yeah, I was born in Sandy, Utah, which is probably about like 30 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake. And I grew up in this trailer park in Sandy, Midvale area, and I have pretty much lived in this city my whole life.
Did you feel isolated in Utah from with scootering? Like how did you get into scootering living in a place like Utah?
Well, yeah, the scene's definitely really weird out here, but I got into scootering. I found a Barbie scooter, like a pink foldable, by this pool, that was right next to my house, just a public pool. And I just started riding it, and then I always thought oh, you can definitely do tricks on a scooter. So I one day looked it up on YouTube, and the first video I watched was the Sky High Chicago Jam, the first year.
Yeah, so this is still it wasn't in the early days of scootering. What year was that? 2011?
I think it was 2013. I remember I think 2012, yeah. I kind of stopped scootering for a couple months and then got really back into it in February of 2013. I started riding park, I guess, because I didn't really know I didn't know street really existed. I thought it was just you just scootered, which I don't know. I guess it's kind of weird that I didn't really think of street scootering because I knew people rode street, but I didn't think it was oh, you ride street or you ride park. I thought it was just you rode whatever,
I mean, in a way, that's kind of it sounds more exciting if you just think of yourself as a scooter rider, not being classified. It's just oh, I'm a scooter rider, I ride. But yeah, I'd say culturally, it's very different.
I don't know. Now I definitely don't really feel that way. I wouldn't go to a park and film a clip, but I mean, I think it's cool. When people kind of Tyler Bonner kind of does it. He rides spots, but he also has park footage,
Mm-hmm.
The scene out here was when I first started scootering, there were a lot of people scootering, but now, I mean, I guess there are a lot of kids scootering, but it's not, it just is such a weird scene. I don't really ride with scooter riders at all. I hang out with skaters, and that's it. I think there's two other people I can think of that scooter consistently out here other than me.
For some reason, it's more likely that people that skateboard will do it when they're older, and for some reason, scooter riders usually quit after they're 17 or 18.
Yeah, and that's literally what everyone did. They all just as soon as they graduated high school, just up and dropped it. I don't know, it's weird. I try to get out of Salt Lake as much as I can, like go on trips, but it's definitely hard. It's like money and shit.
Even regardless of where you live, it's not really like you're isolated anymore because everyone is connected. So it's like you're watching videos and people are watching videos of you. So it's a weird community because it's like almost connected, but it's not like physically connected.
Yeah, it's so weird. There are like so many dudes on Instagram that I'm like I guess homies with, but I've never met them. Like it's so funny.
I was traveling across America over the summer, and we a lot of times we met up with people that just like direct message Tilt, or it was like people that people knew from Instagram that I was with, and most of the time they just called them by their Instagram name, and I would always ask them what their real name was, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what his real name is. I just know him by this name." So it's like it's just such a weird world, and it's like a lot of the Instagram names are stuff that's just so weird and strange, but then people say that name like seriously. They don't even like blink when they say it.
It's like Badger Clit.
Yeah, yeah, like think of that, Badger Clit. Like it's just I don't know, I guess it's just part of the way everything is now.
Yeah, it's super weird. Like I didn't know his name for months.
Yeah, I always want to call people by their real names too. It's too weird to me. Like especially when I'm talking to them in person, it's like, damn, I don't know this person's real name.
Yeah. That's understandable. Like I usually try to like call everyone by their name, but I don't know. Badger's definitely nice to say.
So, do you think that Utah is considered middle America? I mean, it's just like one of those weird places. I feel like it's not middle America, but it's just like a place that not many people would think about. Like is it where you were from? Is it a small town?
Actually, no. It's pretty much just like a suburb of Salt Lake because there's like a 10-mile radius from the city called Draper to downtown Salt Lake, where it's pretty much just like a big city and then like houses and business parks and like it's definitely a pretty big like where I live at least it's pretty big and like there's a lot of people and businesses. It's not small towns are like 45 minutes south of me.
Since you're in a suburb of Salt Lake, and Salt Lake is a fairly large city, how was the attitude towards scootering in Utah? Did people find it strange? Like, especially since there weren't many people doing it. I know growing up in Ohio, for me, I at first it was like people didn't really know what to think of it, and then after the years of me riding, they kind of understood it.
Like if I meet someone on the street who doesn't like skate or anything, they're pretty baffled by it. They usually just call it like a skateboard, which is weird. Skaters, like even my homies, they all hated it so much at first. Like people, like if you rolled into the park, like someone would just call you a faggot, like instantly. Like it was gnarly for a minute.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of what I was trying to get at. Like if the what the like cultural atmosphere is like in Utah, if it's really sort of like I don't know, like it sounds like it's pretty intolerant of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a super like I don't know, like an aggressive scene. I could almost say all the bigger skaters from here are just like super gnarly and just drink beers and take moles and like yell and break shit. It's like they like a bad boy like type thing, I guess. Once I started going to like skate premieres and events and like on Go Skate Day, to not the summer that just ended, but the one before that, I like went to an event with all my homies and like at first everyone was not about it, but then I did some like dumb trick and then people were kind of hyped on it. Yeah, and like as for my homies, like we just started hanging out and like the more we rode, the more they like were kind of down with it. And like as I showed them scooter videos and shit, they were like they kind of understood it more.
And I mean, I feel like the cultures have kind of merged too, like whether it be the clothes or I don't know, just the various trends. It just seems like it's not really separate cultures anymore. It's like scootering used to be like young kids in skin tight colored jean, like cut off pants. You know what I mean? With like checkerboard belt from Hot Topic and like
Yeah, exactly.
like a skin tight pop punk shirt, but
Like a brand new shirt.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And then like the really high top like neon Osiris's.
Oh my God, I had a pair of those when I was in 8th grade.
Almost everybody did, and it's like that's the thing. It's like I don't know if people have become more tolerant or scooter riders have just been more self-aware over the years, and then they're like accepted because they're not dressing a certain way.
It's lame because it's like they just kind of like grew up a little bit. It's lame to say that, but it's like they definitely look like that was just a goofy style. And like I don't know, I noticed when I like started hanging out with like a lot of skaters, I I was like, oh word, we've been doing the exact same things like for years, but not as homies. Like we have the same lifestyles, and I think once they realized that, they were like, oh word, this like what is whack about this? Like once you actually like see scootering for what it is, like it's hard to like actually think it's whack because in all reality, like is skating like that sick? Like we're all just riding things with wheels. Like to outsiders, like scooters look the exact same as skateboards. Like at the end of the day, like everyone's just trying to ride something. So I feel like once you realize that, there's no problem afterwards, you know?
I would say that scootering or skating is only sick to the people involved, and that everybody involved is extremely immature.
Skateboarders are like just as gnarly and like immature. Like an adult wants to see like a nice, well-mannered young man, like not some dude, not Kramer smoking a twee. Like it definitely took like a long time for people to like back scootering though. Cause I've been riding for 5 years, and it was like last year when I started like going to events and like having like seeing people like progressively get more hyped on it.
I think if anything, it's at least just like acknowledge now, like, all right, it's here to stay, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And even like the people who don't back it, kind of like they don't they don't go out of their way to like talk shit or like tell me to get a skateboard. They're just like, oh well, this kid scooters, I guess. Like, and I think that almost goes with like growing up a bit because like I've noticed most of the people who like still talk shit on scootering are like 15-year-old kids who like can sometimes back 50 a flat ledge. Like people who actually skate like don't care enough to like go out of their way and hate on scootering.
Yeah, yeah, it becomes weird, especially if you're older. It's like it's just I don't think you'd ever have the desire to just go out of your way and make fun of somebody for really doing anything. Like it doesn't have to do with scootering or it's just like, oh, that's weird. Like why is this person that's over 20 doing this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why is this grown man telling me what I should do? Like, that makes no sense. Like, it comes down to like you're making fun of a kid.
Although on the other side of the spectrum, the like extremely old guys, it's like there's a certain part of skate culture. It's like that 40 plus like pool skater that those guys will never accept scootering, and it's like what they're doing is just, it's like over essentially like the kind of skating they're into, and
They're just pulling out all the stops at that point. Like, looking for anything to hate on because they're like dirty and washed up, low key.
so let's talk about meeting Ben Bursell. I know he moved to Utah for college for how long? Like a year or two?
No, it was like 6 months or something like that. Yeah, he wasn't there. No, maybe not 6 months. All right. He got there in like August of 2014 and left like May 2015. So he like moved to Salt Lake And my friend Michael, who still scooters, he's just not super involved. He like messaged me. He's like, "Oh, dude, there's this really good scooter rider that rides for Bamboozle that moved to Utah." And I was like, "Oh, word, who?" And he said Ben Bursell. And I was like, I remembered I saw his Harvest part like a couple months before that, and I looked him up. I was like, "Oh, word, sick." And then we started riding. I don't know, at first I think he was like kind of like vibed out of it by me and Michael, because we were still like young. I was like 14. I think Michael was 13. Like, we were still pretty young kids, because he'd only ride with us like every few weeks, and like of course being busy with school, that makes like sense. But there's like this indoor, and we just started riding like more when winter started happening, and then we like started to go film like right before the snow hit. Like, we filmed a couple handy cam clips. Like, there's this video that said like Xander Williams lucky sponsorship on my channel, and that was filmed on a handy cam, and he edited it. And he eventually got a VX21, and we just went filming a lot, and we became like super good friends outside of that too. Like, especially during winter, because we would still hang out like every day, because there was this indoor by my house that had like a really nice A-frame, and a lot of the homies worked there, so we could just like kind of dink around a lot. So we hung out there all day. It was sick. Yeah, and it sucked when he left too, because he was like one of my best friends, and he like influenced my scootering a lot. Like, I've kind of joked, and this could be true. Like, when he came to Utah, he got worse, and when he came to Utah, I got better. Like, because I remember he was like, when he got to Utah, he was super, super into handrails. Like, that's all he wanted to do. And then that's what like got me into a lot of the stuff I hit now. Like, that's what got me into the like idea of like, damn, handrails are pretty sick. Yeah, he got like a really sick creative style, and I just got like a super basic like love for handrails.
Yeah, I mean, I think his last part in the Speak full length yeah, it was a lot different than the Harvest. What was the latest one called? Speak Easy. Yeah, it was pretty different, but it still was probably one of my favorite parts in that video.
Oh, I think Ben's part in Speakeasy is my favorite part for sure. It's just, that song was so funny, and that intro. If you know Ben, that intro is the funniest intro ever, because he's just so goofy, and like, I know Ben's not trying to shotgun a beer. Like,
So what do you know a specific thing that kind of set it off when Ben was there? Like, in what way did he influence you? Was it just sort of like the seriousness with filming?
yeah, like he kind of made it more apparent that, not like more apparent, but he was always just trying to go film, and that just motivated me a little more. It was like at the same time I like started taking like a lot of acid. So just watching him ride, and because he's really good at scootering, like he just has like a lot of tricks and a lot of talent. So watching him ride, it's just like it made me want to ride, like do tricks like that. I always thought it was sick. Like, I remember he did a bar front board, and I thought that was the coolest looking trick for so long. Like, I think that's still probably my favorite trick to do.
What are you saying, that you were like just taking a bunch of acid and not scootering, and then he like?
No, it was like I was like taking acid, which made me think about scootering a lot more, and like then I would watch him ride on top of that, and I just thought it was like really sick. Like, it kind of changed my view of scootering, like the mixture of those two things, I'd say, because he was like so into riding, and like he would show me clips from like the East Coast and talk about the scene, and it just made me like really want to be involved, because like living in Utah, like I said, like it was hard to be involved in the scene, you know?
Were there any other people at like various points in your life? I mean, not really. Like, it could have been people that you just saw online or something that influenced you like that. I mean, it really happens unexpectedly. Like, you'll see some sort of video, and it'll kind of change everything for you. Like, it's like, whoa, it makes you think in like a different way. It's like a different outlook.
it was definitely like Matt Mckeen. So what? Obviously, that was like what introduced me to street riding. Your Armageddon part too is especially like, whoa, people are riding something way different than what I'm used to. Like, 'cause I mean, up until I watched Matt Mckeen So What, I was super into like Tyler Bonner and like Mad Gear and Phoenix and like just like park riding, but I wouldn't say like the overly obnoxious park riding, like So What or your Armageddon part, because they were like filmed really sick. They just had a way sicker style than like your basic Mad Gear video, you know?
Especially with Matt, that was like way later in his street scootering development. I mean, it was the part was great, but I always kind of, I don't know. I think of parts before and after that part with Mckeen for some reason. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, now that I watch that part, I really don't like the mixture of SD and HD. Yeah, it's weird to think because I didn't really get into scootering till way later, so a lot of those older videos I just never got around to watching.
Like, have you seen Mckeen's early videos, like when he's riding on a razor?
I mean, I've seen Dream Team Supreme and like some of the old Philly footage, like maybe not even some, like I've only seen like very little of the like old Razor clips.
Well, I mean, Dream Team Supreme is kind of I think it's like the foundation of street scootering. It's kind of like the street scootering Bible, in my opinion.
No, that video is 100. That song is so sick. I remember I saw that he did like a double finger whip down a set. It was so gnarly to me. What? Someone could double finger whip down a stair set?
Yeah, it's back in those days when scooters were like 5 pounds. You could whip everything around.
Mckeen, his style has always been good. Like when you see people on little scooters, for the most part, like they look a lot worse than now. But like Mckeen's style has consistently stayed just like really sick and consistent, like the entire time.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this before, but I always didn't really understand with Mckeen because regardless of how tall his bars were, his scooter never really looked tiny. And I remember whenever I'd ride with him in real life, I'd look at his scooter and he'd be riding like, I don't know, like 22 or 23 high bars. I was like, what? Your scooter looks so much bigger, but I think it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just his like posture on the scooter or something.
It like also comes with like his power, but I guess that goes with his posture. He just like when he scooters, he's just so involved in it. Like,
And the older he gets, the more power he has somehow.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, oh, that Tilt Team 2013 with the New Order song. Yeah. That video is another video that I really, really enjoyed.
I feel like most videos when I want to watch a scooter videos are older. I can't think of many recent videos. Why do you think that is? It's just less videos are being made, or they're being made in a different way.
I think it's that less are being made. Honestly, there are so many really good scooter riders all over Instagram. Like I could probably name off like 20 kids who like I think are so sick but have never released a clip, like never really released a part, and like. I mean, I'm probably part of that. It's so much easier to film an Instagram clip and save something for a part. Yeah. I think how gnarly scootering is, like everyone's trying to work really, really, really hard for a part so they're not releasing any of their footage.
Yeah, I wish somebody would make sort of like an Instagram compilation. Like every month, it'd just be on a YouTube account, and it would be like all the people you want to see, all the tricks they filmed, and just edit it in a compilation so you could just watch one thing. You wouldn't have to like sift around and miss stuff.
The problem with that, I don't really like Instagram compilations because I would, in all reality, just like way rather see the video part. I'll see Instagram clips that are so sick, and then I'll see a part, and it is just not as good as the person is, I feel like.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. I think that's more likely to happen than any other scenario somehow.
Ugh, I just think scooter riders need to film video parts. Even like if you filmed a 1 minute montage on an actual camera and put it on YouTube, that would be sicker than an Instagram clip, I think.
Yeah, like, and it'd be cool, a 1 minute montage per month. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to ride a lot and film a lot, that's cool, and it'd be the same amount of work as what you're doing on Instagram. But just, whatever, put out a monthly video, like a short video, and it maybe even put it on Instagram, but put it on YouTube too, and then you'll actually have something to look back on.
Oh, and it baffles me because they'll spend so much time like on the filming and the editing of this Instagram clip that like if you just pulled out your camera, that Instagram clip I feel like would be sicker. Like I feel like the iPhone footage kind of bugs me to a point. Like you know how Luis Oppel just released that 1 minute parktage from New York?
I didn't see it. When did it come out?
Oh yeah, he just released like super good footage that he filmed at a park in New York, but it's on YouTube and on a camera, which is like it was shit he would put on Instagram, but it just felt a lot cooler and more crisp because it was in a video.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
Before like Isaac Miller's Winter Tears, like that's all park footage, but he just filmed it on a camera, which I think it gives it like this montage feel that is like really sick. And I think that's the thing why there's not as many scooter videos now, because people were filming montages. Like there's not a tilt montage like on YouTube. There's not a proto montage on YouTube. There's just like Instagram clips. Same with like TSI.
Well, it's a little bit different for scooter companies because they're trying to make money, you know?
Oh yeah, that does make sense. Instagram definitely makes money. Like
But as far as the individual person, it's like if you have nothing to lose, and you're not. I mean, if the end goal is just sort of like followers and fame, that's a race that's never going to be completed. It's kind of pointless to seek that. I mean, I think that's the only thing stopping people from not doing Instagram, because they just want the like dopamine reaction of followers and likes.
I don't know, you get a bunch of comments on a post like, "Damn, that was gnarly." Like that's gonna feel good no matter what. So it like in the end, it does make sense. I don't like it. I've been trying to like stay off Instagram lately.
You like had a bad home situation when like lately when you were these past couple years when you were like filming this video part you're gonna release?
Did you like watch any of the videos I like links I sent you?
Yeah, I watched every single one.
You know the one that was on Ben's channel?
Yep.
So the day that was released, was the day I like moved all the stuff from my mom's house to my grandma's house. And like, I know this is gonna get weird, but my grandma's was addicted to meth. So her house was like it was just like a tweaker house, like exactly that. And I lived there, and like all in all, I just did kind of whatever I wanted. I never like we would just scooter, we would just smoke pot, like fucking take acid, like just pretty much just party a lot. And I mean, there were definitely sketchy situations. I remember one time I had to fight a tweaker, but we filmed a lot of clips like on this old high 8 camera and on this DVX I used to have. Just like crazy shit that happened at the tweaker house, like driving my grandma's car, like we ran over a dresser at one point. So when I was living there, I had just released that part and I wanted to release another one, like just start filming instantly again. And originally I was going to film for 6 months, get like, I guess the gnarliest clips, and then release like a 2-minute part when then really I have 5 minutes of footage. Like in all reality, I just kind of lagged and then just kept filming, and then I like started to get really into like slower songs. So I wanted to use like a slow song and then a fast paced song. I kept filming, and eventually I wanted to like kind of make my part have a point. Cause I'd been filming for so long and like so many crazy things had happened. I don't know. I wanted to tell kind of like a story with my part, because I got kicked out for like that whole summer. I was living in the tweaker house and like just partying a lot. And then when school started again, like when I was in 11th grade, I started living with my ex-girlfriend, and that just like ended really crazy. And then like I started partying again at the end of 11th grade at this house called the Egg Duff House. Just God, the craziest mishaps there. Like, and then I like just left Salt Lake on a whim and went to Boise, Idaho, and lived there for a month with like no money, and went to Portland with my boys, came back down to Boise, and then went to San Diego. So I just kind of wanted to like, damn, I've sent a lot of missions, like dropped out of high school twice. Like, I don't know. I feel like I could add a little more than just my footage to this part.
So what is the plan? Like, how are you gonna add to the video part? Or do you want it to talk about it?
I don't know. There's just gonna be like an emphasis on B-roll, and like my song choice is kind of like really, really important. Like I want a song like that not only like sonically kind of tries to capture like I hate to say the word vibe because I hate how it sounds, but like kind of capture the vibe, and like lyrically as well, just kind of like help tell a story of like whatever I'm trying to say. And like there's this poem I wrote that I'm trying to like read at the end of the video to kind of like tie it together. And like I said, how we filmed like a lot of stuff at the tweaker house, so there's just like there's a lot of B-roll. I don't know, Ben's editing it and he knows me like pretty well, so he'll be able to like add his whatever touch he has, you know.
So do you think that all those experiences you had informed your writing? Because that's usually the case.
Thank you for saying that, because that's like what I was trying to get at. I just like couldn't find the words, but it's pretty much, I'm trying to show like, here's what's happening during this part of my life, and here's how my writing was. Then like this part of my life, and here's how it affected my writing. Because it was like while I was progressing in like street riding, like being like figuring out how to ride spots. Because I don't know if this happened to you, but like when I first started riding street, it was hard for me to learn how to ride a spot because I was used to parks, and parks are like a little more perfect than a street spot, you know?
Yeah.
Not only were there like gnarly things, I was still like trying to figure out like who I was as like a scooter rider.
Do you think it was hard at points to ride because of just sort of, even if you weren't hurt or something, it was like your mental state of mind? Because I know sometimes it's hard if you're going through something, it's like scootering is the last thing you think about, and you have to like be in a sort of state of mind to scooter.
Yeah, it like when I was living in the tweaker house, I was not riding like I don't know, I probably filmed like 4 clips that summer, because it was like hard to ride when like I was just like not sleeping all night, and then like waking up and like just trying to smoke pot all day, and like dealing with like tweakers and like because it was like a very like an actual tweaker house. Like tweakers were like sleeping on the other couches. Like at one point, like a fool threatened to chop me up. It was crazy. Like at the end of 11th grade, when I was like partying at that Egg Duff house I was talking about, like I was not scootering too much, like because like you just get burnt like when you're partying that much. And like I don't know, I feel like I was partying that hard because I was kind of bummed. Like there were a lot of hectic times in my life, so it's a lot easier to like do drugs than like deal with like, damn, this is kind of a shitty situation, you know?
And where are you at with that stuff now? Like, did it finally get to a point where you realized that it was interfering with everything so much that you had to like stop or do it less?
I stopped taking psychedelics for a really long time. Like I don't know, I took acid kind of recently just because I felt comfortable again, but I'm not super into it still. And like I don't know, I don't smoke as much pot, and I never really got into hard drugs. I just like cut down a lot on like my drinking and like acid and smoking weed. Try to just like focus on scootering and like getting a job and school and shit.
Yeah. So was school? You mentioned you like dropped out a couple times.
Yeah, so in 10th grade, like when I was riding with Ben Burcell a lot, I dropped out, and then like went back to a different school at the very end of 10th grade, and then went to school for 11th grade. And then after 11th grade was over, when I went to Boise and shit, I remember I was at Alga Norte Park, like during SD, and my girlfriend texted me and said, yo, they just called your name down to the office. And I was like, oh, damn. So, like, I called my school and was like, hey, I don't go to school anymore. Like, I'm dropping out. And it was, like, kind of funny because I went to the school to get papers so I could take my GED, you know? What happened was the people who run the credit recovery program were, like, they were in the principal's office when I walked in to get this paper signed. And, like, I don't know, I as soon as I realized that, I was like, word, I'm fucked. Like, I'm definitely going to have to go back to school. And they just, like, convinced me pretty much to, like, get it done. I did end up graduating, so that's nice, like a good feeling.
Was the reason for stopping school just all the stuff that was going in your life? Or was it scootering? Or was it some sort of, like, dream that you could do more with scootering?
In 10th grade, it was, like, I just was, like, really unmotivated to, like, go to school and, like, talk to people and, like, I don't know. The first time I dropped out, it was definitely like a problem with like just kind of being depressed and like not being motivated to do anything but like scooter. And then I think the second time I dropped out, it definitely was like, fuck it, I'm just going to try and scooter. That's like a very unrealistic thing. And like you do begin to realize that when you like do get more involved in the scene, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people go through that. I mean, maybe not really dropping out of high school, but maybe like not going to college at first, and then or like dropping out of college, and then it's like they realize that the top people on the teams they want to be on, like none of them even remotely make a living scootering.
Yeah, exactly. Once I like realized, I'm like, oh, word, like all of my favorite scooter riders go to school and have like part-time jobs.
Like I remember I was talking to like Tristan Miller recently, and he just kind of like assumed I made a living when I was on Proto, and like the only money I ever got was for my signature wheels, and then like they paid for trips sometimes, and I was like, no, absolutely not. Like I pretty much did not even get paid to be on that team, and he was so confused. And that was really recently. I think he was still under the impression that scooter riders lived off of scootering.
I feel like it's not pretty impossible. I think are there dudes? Like, I guess you're more involved.
As far as street scootering, there's absolutely no one.
Sheesh. Like, yeah, I know like park riders can kind of make a little more money, and like the vloggers are probably making money, but
Yeah, but even if they, it seems like they're living off it, they're probably living at home. They're probably like still under 20 years old, you know, like living with their parents and getting help from their parents. And that's how they're able to do it. But I think like people that live on their own and are like in our core street scooter riders, like maybe people on like Phoenix or something. I know Dan Barrett. He's on Phoenix and Aztec, but he works for Phoenix like as a job. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't just ride for them. So yeah, I don't think even like the non-core scooter company street riders make a living off it.
I don't know. I've noticed most core dudes like they honestly like being sponsored doesn't necessarily like matter. Like I like being able to like ride my scooter for free, like not have to pay for scooter parts because it's like it's just mad expensive. I don't know. I was like super thankful, like not thankful, but just hyped. Like, damn, I can just ride I can just have a scooter.
Who was giving you scooter parts?
Oh, I'm like Flow for TSI.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like TSI is so cool, but it's and the people on there are great, but it's not. It's like they just get parts, you know, and that's kind of all it extends to.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense. It would be nice, like it would be nice to make a living off scootering, but I've also I've thought about it, and I feel like I would definitely get lazy. When you get off of work and you have the chance to scooter, it feels so fulfilling. It's just like, yes, I can go ride my scooter. It almost gives me more motivation because I don't get to scooter as much because I'm working more.
If you treated scootering as a job, like a full-time job, and scootered that much and sort of filmed and stuff, I don't know if I don't know. You would make so many videos, and I feel like they would sort of just blend together. It's like, how many new tricks are you gonna learn in that time? Like, is there even a reason? Like, if you were scootering full time and making videos, it's like you'd almost put out too many videos.
Like everyone would just get sick of you.
It's a weird thing to say, but it's like, yeah, you got to find the balance between like not putting out too much footage and not putting out too little footage, I guess.
I don't know. Sometimes I do love the hype. Like if someone has never put out a part and they're coming out with one soon, like I get hyped on that. I remember when like Mark was about to come out with his part, I was like so stoked because he was just really gnarly on Instagram and like he was finally putting out some footage.
When I was looking at your videos, I had seen the one that Ben made, and I think I only watched it once, like when it came out, and I didn't really. I kind of forgot it was you. Like I remember seeing that video and liking it, but I didn't remember that it was you. So I saw it again and I was like, oh, okay, so this was him. I feel like it falls under the category of like an indie scooter scene, is sort of like an underground scooter scene where everyone that's watching it really appreciates it, but not a lot of people see it, versus a mass amount of viewers that would maybe like skip through the video or something and not really care about it. And that's the thing. It's like when people have an enormous following online, like lots of people watch their videos, it's like I don't think that everyone watching it is appreciating it. And it's kind of cool too when you stumble upon things that you aren't prompted to find. It's not like somebody is saying like, "Hey, go watch my video. This is exactly how you get to it." It's like it's a cool experience of finding something on your own. So do you prefer that, or do you prefer like more coverage? Because at this point it's not like, I mean, obviously we already talked about it's like you're not trying to get a lot of views so you can get sponsored and make money and all that stuff, because it's not really a possibility.
I want exposure just because I would like to be more involved in the scene, like regardless of like making money or anything. Just like I would like to like I don't know, just like make homies with everyone in the scooter scene because we all scooter and it's sick. As for like finding videos, I definitely like I look for, I don't know, all my favorite scooter riders on Instagram are like the ones with like under 1,000 followers. Like all the like really cool Instagrams are like the ones that don't have like thousands of views.
Yeah, and I mean by releasing this video part, you're going to contribute back to scootering. You know what I mean? Like it's like the larger history and picture of scootering. I mean, possibly when it comes out, if it's well received, it's like people will actually remember that, and it'll be like a piece of scootering.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like what I'm trying to do. I just want to like give what I can to scootering. Like that's why I don't want to release this part like as a like welcome to TSI thing or anything. I want it to like be my part. Like this is something that I worked on for myself. So like I want to release it as that.
Is there anything in specific you want to get out of scootering? Like when you ride, it's like some people do it for the experience or to meet new people or to make their mark on scootering by filming. Has that like evolved for you?
I just want to like see the world, ride my scooter, and hang out with sick dudes. Like I love going to like scooter events, even just like the weird shitty spot sessions. Like I love them because it's just sick. just being involved with other scooter riders. Because in Utah, I'm so distant from like a scene out here because I'm just like homies with skateboarders. So like I just really want to be involved in the scene and like get out of Utah.
Yeah, it's really weird being in a bubble like that as far as a location and then going to these enormous scootering events. It's the same thing with me. Like I usually just ride with skateboarders and then when I go to a scootering event I realize how big scootering is, yet it still seems incredibly small. Like everybody knows everybody. Like it's so strange. Like it gets larger and larger as far as participation, but it's like the people to know or that you want to know are kind of it's like the same number.
I've noticed there's like a problem with like I don't want to like kind of like clickiness. You know what I mean? A lot of scooter riders aren't trying to like go out and kick it with more scooter riders with like scooter riders they don't know.
Like scootering is so small that it's pointless to isolate yourself even more by only wanting to hang out with certain people. That's what I noticed a lot this summer because we went all over the country and we went to all these events that we normally don't go to, like skate park demos and Woodward and stuff. And it's so cool just to talk to other people that you would never normally talk to because you're all doing the same thing.
Why would you want to like stick with your clique because they're cool when you could go meet someone else who's probably cool? Because like if you like the same thing, like you're bound to like similar things also. Like
Yeah, the only time, at least for me, it gets kind of hard is when you're actually going out and riding street. I know personally I don't really like riding with a lot of people when I'm riding street. It becomes hard, like going to different spots and stuff like that. Do you ever run into that?
yeah, that makes sense. Like a lot of like you have different trick selection and spot selection. Like if there's a fat crew that's gonna kind of get in the way, or if like some people in the crew aren't super motivated and like others are. So like some are just burnt and trying to like go do nothing, and then others are like, yo, let's go to this spot. Let's go to this spot.
Before and after street jams, like the couple of days before and after the street jams, so many people will be in town and they're all street riders because they're at the street jam, but it's like pointless to even try to ride street because you'll be riding a spot with like 20 people.
That's what I noticed. Like going to Portland and San Diego, me and my homie Lucas talked about it. We're like, yo, we just need to go on trips that aren't the street jam trips because we're trying to go get like footage and ride, like actually ride and film with homies, not like it's just like hectic and stressful, and everyone's kind of stressed out because there's like not thousands, but like hundreds of scooter riders in town.
I think I've come to the realization that I pretty much like the last jam I went to was in Chicago last month, and it's like the only time you can really expect to ride your scooter is at a skate park with people before or after the street jam. But yeah, that's what I always tell people if they're going to a street jam for the first time. Like, all right, if you're flying there or driving there or whatever, make plans to stay like a week before or after the actual street jam if you actually want to ride your scooter.
I don't know. This year, like my homies were trying to go for like come up the day before the street jam, ride the street jam, leave after the street jam, and that made no sense to me. I was like, whoa, like the street jam is sick, but I'm just trying to like ride with scooter riders. I'm not trying to like go to 7 spots and then go home.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Lucas because I think I got you and him mixed up a lot because you guys just live in like random places and like towards the northwest of the country. Like where does he live?
Well, he lives in Portland now, but he's from Boise.
Yeah, all that stuff kind of like blends together for me because I'm just not really familiar with any of that.
Yeah, we actually get that a lot.
Yeah, I saw him. Man, I think it was at San Diego over the summer, and he had all his hair cut off. So I literally like had no idea who he was. But I mean, you know when you see a person ride a scooter and it doesn't really matter what they're doing, you kind of just know that it's like, okay, this person like knows how to ride a scooter. Like they just look good on a scooter.
That is Lucas.
Yeah, I know. Like he was riding out in the parking lot, and everybody was trying to looking at watching him ride. Is like, man, who is this guy? Like, and then I saw that part he recently put out. What was it for? What channel was it on?
It was on Sky High. It was just like his part that he was filming.
He had a couple clips in it where his hair was cut off, and like up until that point, I still didn't even know who that person was. I was like, oh, that's him, because he really does look like a different person with his hair cut off.
Yeah, he looks so funny with his, not like funny, but like I've known him the entire time I've known him with his long, crazy, curly, puffy hair. When he cut it off and I saw him, it was so weird. Like,
Yeah, but yeah, that part was amazing. Were you do you ride with him often?
we try to ride together as much as possible. I pretty much lived with him and my other friend Jackson in Boise for like 2 months. I saw him in Portland a couple months ago, and then he came down to Salt Lake for my graduation. And me, him, and Sam Grove also went to Albuquerque in April.
What was the reason for that?
We like, you know that Dissidents video, that like the Albuquerque footage?
Yeah, yeah.
The spots just looked really sick and like new, and like not as many people have ridden them, so we just wanted to like go somewhere kind of new.
So you were there for like a lot of the filming and that part he released?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely recognized it was hard too, because I was like, doesn't this guy live somewhere in the northwest corner of the country? But then it seemed like he filmed a lot in Albuquerque.
Yeah, he got so much footage in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I know, and it made me think. I was like, is this guy from Albuquerque? Where is he from?
That trip, he just got like 3 clips like every day we were there. It was insane. I think that's like kind of when he realized like he's like, oh, I really like ditches. I like street tranny. And it's crazy because like he can really ride anything. Like it's like insane. Like I remember there's a clip in his part where he does a bar manual, nose manual whip, and I've never seen Lucas do a nose manual in my entire life. Like it was insane. Like when I saw that, I lost my mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like that. I mean, Jake Sorensen, John Archer rides a lot of street tranny, but then he rides other stuff too. Yeah, sort of like the all-terrain style of rider.
His part was all around like just an amazing video part. Like so refreshing too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about at the beginning. It's like he's not pigeonholed into one thing. It's like he just rides his scooter, and if he can ride something, he can ride it, and you can usually ride anything.
I don't know. I think it's like coolest when like a scooter rider has clips like of every type. But lately I don't know, I've been getting into like trying to simplify my scootering a lot. Like no pushes, like less like double heel finger whip tricks, just like single tail whips and heel whips and like bar spins. Yeah. Like I don't know, I just want to focus a lot on my style lately.
Yeah, a lot of times that can be successful. I know I've put like a lot of stupid rules on myself, but these past few years I don't film more than one tail whip tricks, and I think that was after I watched Ralph ride for so many years, and I would just see him do a tail whip over a pyramid hip at a skate park, and it was the most incredible thing ever.
I've noticed some of the best looking tricks are just like a tail whip or a heel whip, like maybe a really slow bar spin or something.
Yeah, because you're not flailing around. It's kind of about the form. It's like you're not sort of like just jiggling your body around nonstop and then landing. It's like there's like a throw, a catch, and then a land, and it's really fluid looking.
It goes together perfectly because you're not trying like so hard to get a trick around. You're just trying to like you got it around, so you're just landing it like.
And I mean, in a way, it's like it's just how you make it look. Like you could do a lot of tricks, and if it looked fluid, then that'd be good. But it's hard to get a lot of tricks around and make it look effortless. I think somebody maybe like JD, how he can do like three whip bars on flat and stuff like that. And he's like such a tall guy, and he seems so strong that when he does it, it's so easy for him. Or like triples on flat are effortless for him.
He makes really fucked up tricks look really good. Like I remember like that ice pick front scooter flip.
Yeah.
That looks like he wasn't even trying for that. He did it twice. Like it's insane. Like that dude definitely knows how to ride a scooter as well.
A lot of it too comes with, I mean, he's been scootering like since the absolute beginning. He's probably been scootering for like 15 years or something like that.
Like that is so long to be scootering. Like
yeah, when you scooter for that long, you kind of have to like reinvent yourself a lot to keep it interesting for you and the people watching you. I mean, there's people who have been scootering that long. There's like different chapters in their life as a scooter rider. Like their riding changes, and I think that's important. So you're always trying to do something, like always trying to experiment with it, because there's no like final thing. There's no perfect thing. It's just it's like art or something. You're just always like pushing and experimenting.
yeah, exactly. There's no formula to like ride a scooter, and like you got to keep yourself interested in it. And like I don't know. I think it's important to not like put out like a lip slide on a handrail or like a ice pick bar Smith like three whip. Like no matter what, like if you do like those same type of tricks every video, it is gonna get like not interesting.
Now that you're like out of high school and sort of in the real world, has it been hard to prioritize scootering? I know that like when a lot of people start to get in their 20s, it becomes extremely hard. Like you have to make so many sacrifices. You have to really want it, because there's all these outside pressures of like going to college, getting a full-time job, like just all this stuff. Has it been hard for you so far?
It sucks. Like getting like a job that's like pretty much full time, and then trying to like get my own place and like find out if I'm going to school or not. It makes it hard to like when money is the most important thing. Like as shitty as that sounds, like to like survive in society, like you have to have money, and like you have to sustain yourself, and like trying to find a way to sustain myself on top of just like wanting to do nothing but ride my scooter is like super hard. Like honestly, lately I've been more blowing it like doing adult things than not scootering. Like this past weekend, I called my boss the day before the Sovereign Street contest, left him a voicemail. I was like, hey, I'm not coming into work, and then just went to LA. I definitely can feel myself like not filming as much, but I still want to scooter, and I still scooter probably almost every day.
It's most like admirable when you see people in their 20s and they've figured out how to make it work, like how to move things around and manage their time and how much they need to work. And especially people who are like sponsored and travel, that's like the ultimate juggle. It's like, how do I go on these scooter trips for extended periods of time and not make any money while I'm on the trips, yet still somehow survive when I get back?
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to be like a super self-disciplined person. Like you have to think like when you're about to buy something, kind of like think like, damn, well, this could be like money towards rent while I'm gone on this scooter trip.
I know Mike Homan, he usually works like 6 to 8 months at Walmart in Florida, like nonstop full time. And then when the summer hits, he just pieces out for like 3 or 4 months, and then that's it. And it's like everything is for the summer. And he's been doing that for like years now. That's like his normal schedule.
That's sick. That is the scooter rider's like lifestyle dream. Like that's so sick.
Yeah, and he makes it work. And there's so many ways to make it work. But I don't know. I wish there was like, I don't know, like some sort of guidance or something, because I feel like a lot of people in their 20s just end up quitting scootering that were really important scooter riders just because they like didn't really get the formula down. And there's no path publicly known. Like it's not like scooter riders come out and say like, hey, this is how I do it. This is how I support my scootering. And it's so hard to make it work when you're in your 20s, like after college or whatever, and you have to pay for everything.
Well, like I feel like trying to start a career path and then like still trying to like have a scootering career, because like even though we're not getting paid, it's like scootering is a career. Like this is something we devote like most people devote their lives to, like at least the people who are like super involved. So I feel like it's probably super hard to like, well, I need to have this career, which is like something I devote all my time to while I'm trying to ride my scooter and devote all my time to that. Like,
Yeah, it's like you're putting off or like prolonging the real life for scootering, and you're not receiving any money from scootering yet. It's probably going to be the most important thing in your life. It's kind of hard to explain that to people. I go through it all the time. It's like, yeah, well, I don't make money off it, but and I went to college, but I'm like prolonging this eventual like just real life for scootering because probably nothing better is ever going to happen to me in my life.
like it's a scooter. So when you tell someone like, oh, well, I love this scooter, like I'm just going to work like part-time jobs and go on scooter trips for as long as I can because I just love it. Like, but like, I feel like most people don't get something as like sick as the scooter scene. Like no matter how bad the flaws are, like the scooter scene is so sick. Like there are so many people connected. Like there are so many kids like you could hit up, be like, yo, can I stay with you? And it's like, yeah, like come to the city, let's film. Like it's such a sick connected thing, and like places I never would have gone in my life, like I've been to, like which like not even necessarily that far, but like I would never like go out of my way to go to Portland or like LA, but like scootering like is what brought me there. So it's like I've gone to all these cool places. I've like drifted around, like I've lived like a crazy lifestyle, and I'm only 18 just because of scootering and like the opportunities it brought me. So it's like if people don't get it, it sucks, but at the end of the day, like they don't see like how actually sick and like beautiful the scooter scene is. It's like so many people who just love this thing and like go to all these like cool cities. Like when I go to a city, I'm like, what would I do if I didn't have my scooter? Like what do tourists do in cities? Like go see some sights? That sounds shitty. Like I get to like really experience the city. Like I think the opportunity to be able to ride a scooter and be involved in such a sick scene is like the coolest thing, and like scooter riders are so lucky to have it in all reality.
Yeah. And on the other hand, it's like tourists be like, why would you want to go to a city and just sit around in some dirty alleyway and like just fall and injure yourself so much? But they'll never understand. But yeah, it's like impossible to convince people that you want to work a part-time, low-paying job to do this thing that pays no money. It's like you're like seeking out
Being broke.
yeah, like living this low income life. It's like it's impossible to explain to people.
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, so what is the future going to look like for you? Do you have any future plans with scootering, with life in general? Obviously, you have this video part coming out, and when is that part coming out?
It should be out the second week of October. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna just keep trying to scooter. I'm trying to go on like as many scooter trips this year as I can, and then eventually move to Portland. Like just when the time's right and I have the money and like I feel like financially stable enough to like send it to a new city.
You better get to Portland quick and lock down a place to live because the housing costs are skyrocketing there.
Damn.
Yeah, Portland used to be classified as the place where young people retire because the cost of living there was cheap, and you could just work at like a coffee shop or something and totally have enough money to live off. But I think it's kind of shifting now because so many people are moving there.
Yeah, it's becoming like an actual like giant metropolis.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It already was a giant metropolis, but I think a lot of areas are getting gentrified, so the cost of living is just going up a lot. So it's making it tough. Yeah, but it was good talking to you. I'm glad we got to talk because I knew of your riding before, but I did not know anything about you, like other than what Ben has briefly told me. So yeah, it's always cool to talk to a person that I've never talked to before.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, but thanks a lot for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for letting me be on.
All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna get off here right now. So I'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one.
See you, man. Okay, that was episode 6. I hope you enjoyed it. Just a side note, I uploaded all the episodes to YouTube. I just finally made the decision, so more people could see them, and hopefully people could comment and have discussions in the comments on them. But pretty much right after I uploaded them to YouTube, YouTube decided to switch its layout. And I believe, I might be wrong, but comments are not displayed on videos, which was like one of the major reasons I actually uploaded these podcasts to YouTube. So what you could do is you click in the top right corner of your browser on your like Google icon, and you can go to restore old YouTube, and then you can see the comments are there. Just kind of frustrating. I'm currently working on getting it on iTunes. It's not a complicated process, but the way you do it, you have to find a way to host the files yourself. And right now I could easily do it through SoundCloud, like submit my files through SoundCloud. But the issue is, if down the road I stop using SoundCloud, all those files are going to be taken down, and then they'll be taken down on iTunes. I'll have to like redo everything. So I'm just trying to figure out a more permanent, easy source to host them on. But that will be up. That'll be really great, so you can download them and listen to them offline on your phone. And then also, if you subscribe to the podcast, you'll get a notification on your phone, and it'll automatically download it for offline viewing, which is great. I do that with many podcasts on my phone. I'm pretty much listening to podcasts all day long. Unfortunately, you can like leave a review on there, but you can't really comment like you do on YouTube or SoundCloud, so you can't have a discussion on there. But I'm just doing that for more ease of use. It's pretty much the easiest platform to listen to podcasts on. So that'll be good. Yeah, just stay tuned. Obviously, there's a new episode every month on the last Friday of every month. And these are a lot of work, but they're really important to me, and I hope really important to other people in the scootering community. So I'm going to try to stay on that schedule as best as I can. And thanks to Ben Bursell for the music. And that's about it. I will see you later.